It is finally happening for Bitcoin, and we are seeing a huge breakout, and we are seeing a new all-time high for Bitcoin unfolding. But keep in mind, there's also still a CME gap open, and we could close it later in this week. So we could also see a little bit of downside. And in this video I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to know for Bitcoin to be prepared for this week and what we can expect for Bitcoin in this coming week with trading. There's also a lot of interesting data coming into the market. I will also have a quick look at the Ethereum and the Bitcoin ETFs, and I will also have a look at some other interesting data with you. Later in the video I'm also going to look at the two altcoins, Thorchain, RUNE and XRP, but about that later in the video. So you want to watch this video all the way to the end? Please like the video because it will help this channel a lot. And let's dive right into the charts. In the beginning of the weekend, Bitcoin opened the CME gap around the $101,000. That was around here, and we can see that Bitcoin was trading around this level during the course of the weekend, just like I expected. But later on Sunday, we saw a huge bump to the top side, and now we created a new all-time high, and we came all the way to the $106,000. And this means that Bitcoin is now up for 137% year to date. So this is insane, of course, and these gains are exactly what we want to see in a bull market for Bitcoin. But however, this CME gap is still open, so we could expect that Bitcoin could trade a little bit to the downside and come back to this level to close the gap. But of course, as I'm always saying, 99 out of 100 gaps are getting closed. So we could also see that Bitcoin is just going to see a continuation of the bullish momentum to the top side, and that this gap wouldn't be closed eventually, because there's also still a gap open at the $76,000 and also very much below around the $10,000. So Bitcoin could possibly go back to close this gap, but of course there's also a possibility that this gap will remain open, and that we'll see a continuation of the bullish momentum to the top side. And in my videos of last week, we saw Bitcoin came to this huge resistance area, and this horizontal resistance was a little bit too strong, but now we are seeing a huge breakout to the top side, which is very bullish, and of course we are creating a new higher high and also a new all-time high around the $106,000. So this is a very bullish start of the week for Bitcoin. So eventually always this huge horizontal resistance could be retested as support, and if we come back to test this as support, we could also potentially close the gap, and from here you can enter the market in the long, because this will be a bullish retest. And I think I will enter the market here for Bitcoin in a long, because I think this resistance needs to be retested as support, and then we can aim for higher targets. And of course we are now outside of this range, and we broke bullish, so the top side momentum is continuing, and we are seeing a huge bullish momentum happening in the beginning of the week for Bitcoin. And let's then have a quick look at the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs. We can see the Ethereum and the Bitcoin ETFs all have very much positive numbers in the last weeks. And now we need to see more positive numbers in this week. So it will of course also pump up the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So let's see if we can, for instance, see more spikes to the top side of this total cumulative inflow for Bitcoin. And currently we are above the $35.5 billion of total cumulative inflow. So let's see if we can reach for that $40 billion in total. And for the Ethereum ETFs, we are now above the $2.2 billion. So let's also see if this week will be more bullish for Ethereum as well. And I've been discussing this huge formation with you on the 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin. We saw this huge consolidation formation unfolding with multiple touch points on the lower side, and eventually we saw this price getting compressed with multiple touch points on the top side as resistance. And yeah, we can see that Bitcoin is now breaking out to the top side, which is very bullish. Of course, we are creating a new all-time high, but of course we can also potentially see a little bit of a throwback to test this previous resistance as support, and from there we can enter the market in the long and aim for higher targets. And as I was saying, if we are going to see this bullish retest, we also close the gap of the CME gap. So this could be a very interesting play for Bitcoin in this week. So this could be happening for Bitcoin this week, and now you are prepared for what's coming next. And I've also been discussing this huge formation with you on the 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin. We saw that Bitcoin ran into huge resistance, then we broke it bullish to the top side. We tested it as support, so this retest was very bullish. Then we saw more topside continuation. We made another bullish retest, and eventually we saw this huge falling wedge unfolding on the 4-hour time frame. And now we are seeing a bullish break, and we're retesting this previous resistance as support, and from here we entered the market in the long. So me and my community are up for a significant amount of gains. We're already up for 6%, and especially when you are leverage trading, this is a very insane gain to make. So congratulations if you took this trade together with me, and let me know in the comments if you also took this trade and if you're now in profits. So we are still in this huge uptrend to the top side, so we possibly can see a little bit of a continuation to the top side for Bitcoin, but of course we are now creating this higher high, so we could also potentially create a new higher low, and that would mean that we could come back to lower prices to test these prices as support, and from here you can enter the market in a long, because in an uptrend you want to buy every dip, and especially when we are in a bull market. And if we have a look at the Bitcoin quarterly and monthly returns, we can see that Bitcoin has rose 65% in Q4, so this is insane of course, and we can also see that December is turning very green. We almost coming to the double digits of total rising for Bitcoin this month. So in history, when we saw a bullish September, October and November, we also saw a bullish December, and this is unfolding just like in history. So history is repeating once again. And if Bitcoin can rise more than 10% in December, we will most likely see more than $110,000 for Bitcoin this month. So let me know in the comments, what do you think, what the price of Bitcoin will be at the 31st of December? And if we have a look at the Bitcoin monthly chart, we can see that Bitcoin is about to turn parabolic, and we are seeing this exponential move happening, just like we saw in the last previous cycles. So this was especially the same thing that was happening. So also here we can see that Bitcoin is repeating its history, just like in the last cycle. So if we can see more of a separation of this level, and if we can see more parabolic moves for Bitcoin in the coming months, we will see exactly the same thing happening just like in the last cycles, and that will bring us to new all-time highs. And of course, we are seeing a huge spike to the top side already, but we could go much higher, especially with all the companies and countries that are buying Bitcoin currently. So this is looking very bullish for Bitcoin. And let me know in the comments what your cycle top for prediction for Bitcoin will be in 2025. And the first altcoin I want to have a look at is Thorchain RUNE. I've been discussing this altcoin with you for the last months, and especially when we were in this huge falling wedge formation to the downside, we saw a lot of interesting levels unfolding. We saw a lot of resistance on the top side, as we can see here, and we also see a lot of support on the lower side. And eventually this falling wedge formation is a typical bullish bias pattern, and it broke to the top side. We retested this previous resistance as support perfectly, and from this bullish retest we entered the market in a long, and we are now already up for more than 90%. So this was also an insane trade, and we can see that Thorchain RUNE is now in an uptrend, which is looking very bullish, and every time we are breaking a couple resistance, and then we are going to retest it as support, just like we can see here. And after such a pump of the last week, we saw a bit of a rejection coming into the market, and we tested previous resistance as support, because after this resistance was broken to the top side, we are now retested it as support. So this is looking very bullish, and this could be the next interesting trade for Thorchain RUNE to make. So let's see if we can also break this next big resistance to the top side, because it will be confluent with a lot of touch points in the past, as we can see here. We can see a lot of price interaction unfolding here for Thorchain RUNE. So the breakout target of this falling wedge formation will be confluent with the top side of the formation, and that will be around the $9.50. Currently we are at the $6.50, so that will still be an increase of $3. So this could be an insane trade to make, and especially if we can see that Thorchain RUNE is going to break this level to the top side. We retest its level resistance as support, and from here you can enter the market in the long and then aim for the top side of the formation, which will be confluent with the breakout target. And if this trade will unfold, then you could potentially make an insane trade of almost 30%, which will be very beautiful to make. And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is XRP. We can see on the weekly time frame for XRP a huge consolidation formation was unfolding. We can see multiple touch points here on the top side as resistance and also on the lower side as support. We finally broke bullish and we saw a parabolic move to the top side. And if we zoom in a little bit on the 4-hour time frame, we can see multiple consolidation formations happening, and we saw that XRP was breaking bullish every time, so the upside momentum is huge, and now we are seeing a little bit of a consolidation unfolding. We see multiple touch points here on the top side as resistance, and if we have a look at another chart, we can also see that on the lower side we can see multiple touch points as support. So eventually the price of XRP is getting squeezed into this apex once again, and this consolidation formation is looking very bullish because we have a lot of upside momentum, and we are seeing an uptrend unfolding. So I think we will most likely see bigger chances that we're going to break to the top side, retest the resistance as support, and then we can aim for higher targets. But of course there's also a bearish scenario possible that we have to aim for lower targets, that we're going to break the support area to the downside and we're retesting as a resistance, and then we can aim for lower targets. And if this happens, I'm going to enter the market for XRP in a short. So these are the two scenarios for XRP in the coming weeks. We could either see a break to the top side or a break to the downside. And of course we all want to see that break to the top side and that XRP is going to reach the $3 eventually. So let me know in the comments, do you still hold XRP in your portfolio? Did you take profits on XRP? And what do you think about XRP in the future? So for now I'm still looking at this Bitcoin CME gap around to $101,000, so we could potentially see a little bit of a throwback later in the week or maybe today to close the gap, or we could just trade to the top side and that we're never going to see a close of this gap ever. So this was it for today. You can also join my Telegram group if you want to. You can join it with clicking in the link in the description under this video. Please don't forget to like this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.